Hi friends, we are live today with Wednesdays with Whitney. I'm Whitney and today we are with Miss Kathleen Riessen.
Hi.
Motivational speaker and business coach here in Des Moines and nationwide at this point. So Miss Kathleen, thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely.
Yay. And we did headshots together a while back, I think August, right?
Yep.
Do you remember how we sort of came into each other's orbit?
Yeah, so I had all kinds of people say, you have to go see Whitney. Like, okay, I'll go see Whitney. Yes.
And then and one of our favorite co-people, Sherry Clark, hi Sherry, I had done a Wednesdays with Whitney with, and she's like, you've got to meet this woman, you're good. So we had been hearing about each other for a long time. And Kathleen came into my life in August, and I wanted to share a story with you guys because I think it's very telling of both of our personalities. But so Kathleen had emailed me, she said, hey, I love your work, I want to get headshots with you. And I didn't get back to her right away. And for whatever reason, it just didn't happen, who knows. And she reached out to me again, and you know, Sherry actually reached out and said, hey, like, Kathleen didn't get a response from you. I know that's really weird, what's going on? And I was like, there's a whole list, but let me get back to her. So I emailed her back, and we just had, it was one of those like a series of misconnections. And we finally got something on the calendar, and then my move date into my new studio.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
So my move date got changed into this studio. I couldn't get my wheelie wall in, so I had to email her and be like, hey, I gotta move our date. And this has already been like, we had a couple emails that didn't, I was just crazy. And so Kathleen responded and she said, you had the most elegant response to that.
I'm trying to know what it was.
Well, it was just very like, hey, I totally understand. Things happen. Just want to let you know this whole process has been a little back and forth and I'm feeling a little uneasy about it. And, you know, I'm looking forward to meeting you. I just want you to know that this has been my impression. And I was like, wow, thank you. Because so many times the response to that would have been kind of like, goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to give you another chance.
Yep.
You took that for me as a teaching moment. You gave me a lot of grace, and I got on the phone with her, and I called.
We talked on a Sunday. It was great.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to
not
call this woman. I know, I was in the middle of something. I was like, nope, it doesn't matter. Because and the first thing I said was, you know what, there's a lot of things going on in my life. None of them matters more than the fact that I didn't pick up the phone and call you and say, I'm sorry I miscommunicated or didn't communicate properly. Let's get on the same page. And I know that if I had called you a month ago, you know, a month before when this had started, you would have been like, cool, on it. And I was like, and that phone call just started this whole thing.
Yeah.
So we did the headshots. We were successful. You saw them. She's gorgeous. But what I really want to talk to you about today is Kathleen does a lot of talking about burnout. And we are in the season, we're about to enter the season of burnout. And you owned a marketing firm for
10 years.
10 years and sold it. Said, can you tell just a little bit about that before we jump into burnout?
Yeah, so when I was back in the middle of the recession, if you guys remember in 2008, I started a marketing firm. I was 6 months pregnant with my first kid. Yeah, but it's like,
pregnant
crazy.
in the middle.
Yeah, and I totally was, right? Like, I mean, that's just me.
Yeah.
But the reality was, that's what I wanted so much, and I saw the vision for that. And so I ran that sucker for 10 years. But you know, during that time, I realized I saw my purpose shifting a little bit, and I didn't always listen to it. And so by the time I finally figured out what I was really meant to do, I was kind of feeling that burnout. You know, my health wasn't exactly where I wanted to be, and you know, we own gyms too. So I just felt like I'm very inauthentic.
Yeah,
and
like you weren't doing for yourself what you wanted other people to be buying into.
Exactly. And so when I figured out, I wasn't even entirely sure what I was going to do next, but I knew it was going to be different. And I said, I'm just going to jump out of the plane, and I'm going to figure out what the parachute looks like on the way down. We'll build it, but I'm going. I just did it, and I think that's you know, that was the end of 2017. So I sold my business to my then partner and moved on. And everybody said, what are you going to do? I'm going to figure it out. And I did. It's been awesome.
Well, and that, our previous conversation, which I wish we could have recorded because it was beautiful. But I think the courage and the confidence to do that is, I talk a lot about building up your risk tolerance and building up your ability and your emotional tolerance and getting through things. People will approach me and say, like, how did you do that? Or how did you have the confidence to do that? And I was like, I didn't. Like 5 years ago, I wouldn't have had the confidence to do half of the things I did yesterday. But little by little, over time, you just incrementally move the bar up. And now there's days that I say yes to things that I'm like, oh God.
And then you can call me and we'll be like, yes.
We're going to do it together.
Yes, I love it.
But let's talk a little bit about this burnout thing. Now, you were telling me about this idea of the burnout pyramid.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Okay, yeah. Okay. So first of all, like, burnout's real, right? It is a real thing. But I think it's also a mindset, right? And so burnout happens. Yeah, here's the scary statistics, okay? Over 90% of leaders are feeling burnout, right? That's crazy. And 34% are feeling completely burnout. So
can you define that
like what it is?
A little bit?
Yeah. So you're getting out of bed and you don't want to put your pants on. Like,
or you
just don't want to get out of bed.
Right.
Like you're just not excited. You're tired. You don't have that, like, your mojo, right? You're just you just kind of blah, and you feel it, right? And then emotionally, you kind of go negative, and you start to really kind of pull back a little bit, like, okay, I'm not going to go hang out with my friends.
On all the other aspects of your life, you may be doing the thing that pays you.
Exactly. You show up. You do. And so it's hard if you're an employee. It's even harder if you're an employer, right? Yeah. You know, let's talk about statistics again. Like 70% of business owners have depression. Like, what is that, right? So there's a lot of challenges there. But what burnout really is, you know, how I define it, I think of your life. So think of your life as a square, right? So it has 4 points, okay? So in those 4 points, you've got your family, you've got your community, you've got your business, your work, and you've got self-care, right? So you've got these 4 areas, okay? So when I think about those, and I stand right in the middle, okay? So put yourself in the middle of that. Okay. You're always going to be pulled in one of those directions, okay? You're always going to be. So what happens when there's a crisis at work and you get pulled down a little bit more? Well, it seems kind of easy to just go back to the center. Yeah. So when I thought about this, I said, okay, how do I take that rectangle and flip it on its base? Okay, so now you're on a base, right? And now make this like a triangle, okay? So you're like a pyramid. That's the burnout pyramid. Yeah. Same 4 points. Now. Yeah. See, I have to walk you through that. Same 4 points, okay? You've got your business, your work life, right? You've got your family, you've got your self-care, and you've got your community. Yeah. All those 4 points. And you're standing at the top. That's where you want to be. That's when you're in an ideal position. Yep. Okay? But now you have that same work crisis. You've literally fallen down the side of a pyramid. And you have to find the energy to climb back up to the top. Yes. And then you've got a family crisis, right? I've been spending so much time at work, I haven't spent time with my family. So now you've got a family crisis, and you fall back down again. Yeah. And my gosh, you got to find that energy to get back up to the top. And the more that happens, the more you just don't have the energy to climb back up to the top. And I'm just going to hang here.
Just going to hang on this side for a while.
And what happens is most people hang between family and work, okay? So now you've got self-care on the other side, going to the gym, eating healthy.
Those things.
You just don't do those, right? You just give them up. And your community, like your friends, volunteering, you don't have time for that, so you give it up. And there you are, just kind of hanging. And so what do? That's why burnout happens. Yeah. Right?
Because you're not fulfilling the other aspect, or you're not touching base. You're not touching those corners.
You've just kind of let yourself hang there. Yeah. And so then the question becomes, well, what do you do? Okay, so I'm working on this interview series that we'll talk about at the end. It's so exciting. But I talked with a good friend, Dave Kovar, yesterday, and he said there's really 3 things to motivation, three reasons that you get motivated. And it's desperation, inspiration, and purpose, okay? So desperation, that's like, oh my gosh, I have to figure something out, right? That's short term. Totally short term, like I need more money, whatever it is, it's short term. Inspiration, okay? Inspiration will get you so far. Like, you're going to listen to this today, and maybe you'll be inspired, like, I'm going to go tackle the world, right?
And if you are, comment below.
That's good. So you're inspired to do something. That'll last a few minutes, right? There are a few days.
Well, because inspiring, it's a short burst of energy to get you to the next place.
But a week from now, a month from now, you're like, wow, I watched that Wednesdays.
And you need dedication.
Yes. Okay, but then you go down to the third one, purpose. And I define purpose as your chimera, okay? So that's that word, the chimera.
She said this out loud to me, and I was like, first of all, you got to spell that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, why has this word never been in my life? And the second she said it, okay, now explain it to me, because I got really excited.
Okay, but the chimera, really what it is, there's a really cool definition of it. Like this beast that,
Oh, I tagged.
I tagged.
Okay, so it's in the comments.
Okay, but how I refer to it as is this belief that you have. I am meant to do something totally crazy. I have a friend who wants to be president of the United States. Everybody's like, why would you want to be president of the United States? I have another friend. I mean, it's not something that I would want, but oh my gosh, if I know anybody that could be president of the United States, it's him, right? And, you know, for me, I want to eliminate burnout. People look at me and they're like, you're crazy. That's a big job, right?
Yeah.
Like, 90% of people have this issue, but I want to eradicate it. I did an interview with Mike McCallowitz, and he says he wants, do you know Mike? Oh, I love Mike. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He is my, okay, sorry. I just had a moment. I think I'm in love with him. I don't know him.
He's great and super nice. So he's my friend, you know. He's my new friend. But I got to interview him, and his goal.
I'm having like a contact high. Okay, sorry.
I love it. No. But his goal is to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. And so what that is somebody that, you know, the day you start a business, people think you're a millionaire and you're going on these vacations and you're just sticking your thing. I love what Tim Ferriss did with the 4-hour work week, but now everybody's like, oh, you're only working 4 hours and you're at the beach the rest of the time.
Working 4 hours at a 0 times like 2.
But they have these ideas. And so what Mike talked about was entrepreneurial poverty. He says no more. And so the whole point of this is if you have this kind of crazy goal that seems so big that most people can't grasp it, well, what happens when I tell you that idea? If you can't grasp it, you can't really be supportive of me.
Yes.
And so I'm like, hey, Whitney, I've got this totally crazy idea. And what would you do?
Well, when you said, well, I'd be like, yeah, go get it. But I also have crazy, crazy big ideas. But when you said your friend wants to be president of the United States, I was like, probably not. Like, that was my response.
Yeah.
Because it's outside of my conception of something that could happen to somebody I know.
Yeah.
Or like, and that's such a me thing. That's like, I know them, so they couldn't achieve this. Like, what is that?
Yeah, so
like, I just dissected that. But,
and if I'm my friend that wants to run for president of the United States, and I say it to you, and then you're like, oh, and you have that reaction, I'm gonna think that must be a bad idea, right? Like, it must
unless you have a crazy amount of self-confidence.
Yes.
Which, I mean, you kind of have to be to have that dream anyway.
Yep.
But I think when you're not surrounding yourself with people who, if I say my big goal and people are like, back away slowly.
It's crazy.
You know how hard, I know how hard those big goals are going to be to reach.
Yeah.
And I need people there that are like, it's big, let's do it.
And that's, so my goal is to build a community of people that when you state your big crazy goal, they're like, yes.
Yeah.
How can I help you get that?
Yeah.
And it's not about them, it's about this goal. And you know what, if I can help you and you can help all these people, yes, that's amazing. So the concept of the chimera is really about being comfortable stating these big crazy goals. So back to burnout, and how does this all tie together? So when you talk about purpose, right? Those 3 reasons for motivation: desperation, inspiration, and purpose. When you have a chimera, when you know what it is that you're supposed to do, what your authentic self, what your calling is in life, you're not burnt out. No. And you know what? I'll tell you what, nothing will stop that. And that's, you know, I was telling you about the story. My husband has cancer. I'm going to put that out right there. Yeah. Well, he had cancer. We're fighting it now. But I'll tell you what, I got on a plane 12 hours after we found out that he had cancer. 12 hours. And I was at first kind of like embarrassed. Oh, I can't tell people I'm leaving my family when they need me most. But the thing was that I went to this conference in Phoenix, right? The thing was, I could see how that was going to help me impact so many more people that it was okay.
And your family was on board with that. They are headed in the same direction with you.
We're all, so I've created this community of people that says, you know, yes, you have to go do this, right? We will love your family while you're gone, and when you get back, you pick right up, but you have to do it. And that concept, when I grasped that and said, if this is what my chimera is, it doesn't matter what else is I have to fulfill that. I absolutely have to.
So something I hear a lot of times is I have people walk up to me and they'll say like, I really want to do something big, but I don't know what it is. And they're focusing on a product or a business. And I'm like, and I talk a lot, when I talk about Emily and I's partnership with Brand Launch, people are like, well, oh my God, isn't it scary getting into business with somebody? And I was like, honestly, we didn't know what business we were getting into when we said yes to each other. The reason why Emily and I work is because we had the same core values and we were headed in the same direction. We wanted the same big things. And we are still figuring out how to achieve those. We don't know the exact steps. We don't know exactly how that looks. We've got some things figured out, but not everything.
Yes.
But the reason why I feel comfortable going to her and saying we need to change this up is because our core values and what we're headed towards is always the same. And so when I talk to people who are like, what do I want? You know, what do I do? I'm like, well, it's not an action. For me, photographing is not my purpose. Taking photos is not my purpose. Giving people the opportunity to say yes to themselves, the opportunity to understand that they are worthwhile, the opportunity to connect to their community as a whole, that's my purpose. So I take photos. Sometimes I just have a conversation with people, but it's bigger than that.
Yeah. Okay. So what you're hitting on, and you said, I know my values. I know what I want. So, there's this concept, but if I ask you, who are you, right? Most people don't know how to answer that. Yeah, they struggle with that.
My easy answer would be, I'm a photographer.
Yes.
But I've actually asked people, you were talking about this, I've actually asked people to stop calling me a photographer. I am. That is, it is an action that I do, but it's not who I am. And you were talking about, well, what's my title? And you're like, I'm Kathleen. Like, that's what I am. That's who I am. That's how I show up.
Yeah, I am who I am. And so the thing is, it took me a long time. So I sold my business at the end of 2017, right? And I went down this incredible journey to answer that, who am I? So if we would have had this conversation a year ago, I would have said, my goal is to figure out who I am. And I thought, well, I want to work with entrepreneurs because that's who I am. And so I kind of had a half-baked answer, right? Yeah. And I stepped back and I spent the first 6 months of this year saying, what makes me happy? Yeah. That was the only definition. And guys, I have my CPA license. I've worked in that world. So I've been so financially minded and my figure all this out, right? I have a CPA license. I ran a marketing firm for 10 years. The thing is, I truly believe I could do, maybe not well, but I could do whatever I set my mind to, right? Yes. But what do I want to set my mind to? And so what I did 6 months, just said, what makes me happy? I went for coffee. I don't drink coffee like teens, but we call it coffee, right?
4 coffees a day.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was just more excited than I am now. Yeah. But I listen to people. I truly listen to what do they want? Where are their questions? And the thing that I kept hearing over and over and over again was, I want to be more impactful, but I want to spend time with my kids. I want to do all this stuff. How do I do that? Yeah. And so when I really listened to what people wanted, and then I said, what are my strengths? Okay, how can I help them? How could I help them get that? And I realized, oh my gosh, the way that I'm living, the examples that I'm doing, that is what is helping them. And so when I grasped that concept, I realized, okay, I have my audience are the people that are attracted to me. Yep. So if you're sitting there saying, what should I do? What I would encourage you to ask yourself is, who's my audience, right? Who are the people that are attracted to me? And go ask them. Maybe it's somebody that you've known for 15, 20 years. Maybe it's somebody you just met, but what is it about them that they see in you? What do they think you should do? Just get that up. Doesn't mean that's what you need to do, but they're going to pick up on different things, and then think about that, and then go figure out what makes your heart happy. Yes. What it is. And you'll find some trends in there, and then there's some exercise. There's one creep. I'm not making you do it on the camera because you'll cry. Everybody cries.
Not on camera, not today.
Maybe
I'll do it.
But there's an exercise that I take people through, and it's focused on your eulogy, right? Oh, so I would actually make you close your eyes.
I think about that, though. Yeah. I think about that all the time. Is that weird and morbid?
Yeah,
maybe. You just admitted that. Continue.
So if you're thinking about what would be said at your eulogy, so I'll walk through this example if you've died. And so it sounds kind of creepy, right? But it's so powerful. And every time I do that, every time I stand up and speak in front of a group and I use that example, people cry. And it's not because... I hope it's not because I'm a really bad mean. I think what's happening is they're identifying, where they're at now, and they're identifying where they want to be. Yeah. And guys, if you want to be a better leader, you want to grow in your business or your work. Here's the thing: I can sit there. We can talk about spreadsheets. I could put up a giant whiteboard behind here and draw out how we can make money. And we can do that, right? We absolutely could. And if we want to spend a few minutes.
Making money is totally different than purpose.
Exactly.
Like they don't always have a lot in common.
And all these people that I've interviewed over the last month, The thing is, the people that are the most successful, and however you want, define that by money, define that by impact, define that by friends, however you want. The single connector between all of them is that they understand who they are. That's the exercise you have to go through.
Yep. And consistently.
Yes.
It's not a one-time only thing. You have to keep looking at that.
Yeah, your purpose will shift.
For that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's that burnout, right? When your purpose shifts, but you're not following what your purpose is, what your chimera needs to be, that's when you have burnout.
Whew.
No, we're getting
that landed beautifully. So, transition. Goals. So, let's have a moment where you found your purpose.
Yes.
And then we're heading into a season of goal setting. So January, everybody loves to dive deep into goals. And something that's probably slightly surprising about me that's maybe not great to admit is that I'm not a great goal setter.
It's not surprise me. And it's not about you. Actually, so here's the finish your question and then I'll tell you.
No, it's just I have some revenue goals for Ivory House, but they're not motivating. Like I know I'll reach them. So like that's not a motivating thing for me. And because I feel like my chimera is up here, my goals along the way are there. It's really amorphous. Like, so I think that's why sometimes I have a hard time celebrating my small wins is because I don't set incremental goals. I just keep heading to the clouds.
That's an entrepreneurial trait though.
Yes.
That's why that doesn't surprise me. Okay, so a couple different things on there. So one, like I said, I have my CPA. I ran a marketing firm. Yeah. It's just a strategic marketing firm, and we wrote marketing plans with goals, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's my life, right? But this year, more than anything, I've taken my goals and my plans and I've ripped them up, okay?
It makes me feel better.
Yeah, okay. When you're setting goals, don't focus on financial, focus on impact, okay? When you make the impact that you want, the rest of the stuff will take care of themselves.
It does.
It will absolutely. There's Heather Box. So she's somebody that I've gotten to meet this year. So she's running the 1 million person project, and what that is saying there are million people that need to share their stories. Philip McKernan is created One Last Talk, and so Philip's on my interview series, and he, you know Philip?
No, I don't.
You should.
I don't, but now I'm already excited.
Yeah. So he talks about ordinary people with extraordinary stories. You know what? So he's created this TED-like stage for these people that have these amazing stories, right? So when you think about that, when you're at the chimera level, right, and you've got ideas and an impact that you want to make, focus on what that impact is and what impact can you make towards that in 2019. Yeah. And then in January, what do you have to do? Then in February, what do you have to do? In March. And so that you can start to get it that way, but it's not about I'm going to make another $20,000 or $10,000, whatever.
It's very short. I think that setting financial goals, like I think our goal, I would assume that most entrepreneurs' goals is to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, you gotta know what that number is.
Just well taken care of.
Yeah.
Like if that's the only way you're headed as a business owner, like you don't start a business to make more money than you did when you were working for somebody else. Okay. You probably will if your purpose is aligned with everything else.
And let's own what you just said. Like let's own that, because here's the deal. I know how much I want to make, right? You know how much you want to make. Have that number in your head. And the people that say, I don't really know, like, have it, or you're lying to yourself, or I don't know, either way.
Or get it done if you don't know, because you need somewhere to head.
And because anything beyond that number is truly about making an impact, right? So for yourself, for others. But if you can't take care of yourself first, you can't take care of anyone else.
So I say that to so many people that are starting businesses that are in year one, year two, that are not taking a paycheck from their business. And I'm like, charge me more money. Like, if I value your service as I show up here every week and do, like, you need to get what you're worth. And when people, this is such a funny now, someone reaches out to me about headshots, I immediately send them my pricing. They say yes, I immediately send them an invoice. It is paid when I see, when they get the invoice, even if they're getting their photos done in a month. And the reason is that that's my structure. And I've set up my, people know me now, so I have a reputation that they'll say yes to that immediately. But it's important for me to say, I am valuable, and we will value each other's time. And I think if I can give anything out to people who are just starting out is, yes, you may not be able to charge what somebody who's, you know, been in business for 10 years is charging, but be proud of what you do charge and make sure you're getting what you need.
Yeah.
You just took this a whole other direction.
No, I love that. But you know, that's the thing. You got to own it. And that's where the thing that just, where I take a stand more than anything, and maybe it's offensive to some of you, people might find it offensive, but the people that I talk to that have been in business for a while, and they're saying, well, you know, I'd love to take vacations, I'd love to treat myself, and when I ask them, when I get down to, are you covering what you consider your base needs, and they say no, I said, one of two things has happened. Okay, one, we're not in alignment with our chimera, right? Or, you know, we need to figure out what that is, because you have this amazing value that you want to give. Number two, that's when we need to get that whiteboard out, and we need to say, how can we think creatively here so that we can be creating, we can charge more, we can do whatever we need to do.
Or is it a do we need to level up our skill, talent, product? Do we need to level up how we talk about it? There's so many things that go into that, but I think the base level is knowing your value.
Yeah, and everybody has a value.
Yeah,
everybody has a value. I 100% believe that. And the thing is, we don't always believe in ourselves enough to be able to see that, and that's where, you know, a coach or a friend or somebody, a third party, can help you pull that out and say, oh, I really do have a value.
Yeah, and that's actually how Unapologetically Extra started. My photo series is that people, the common response to I'm a photographer is I don't photograph well. So when I meet somebody, they respond to me like, not me. And so what I did was I consider this, you know, I said, I'm going to do 15 photo shoots in 3 hours, and it's going to be low price point, low pressure. You only have to show up. And if you're not showing up, you have to, I took away the barriers. I said, I don't want you to say no because of money. I want you to know that you're saying no because you don't think you're worth having a good photo taken of you.
And that's
I want you to recognize
belief.
Exactly. And then I continue to prove them wrong. And then people are like, I'll be back next month, which is great. But that was the whole point of that series, is to say, you need to know that you can show up and be valuable before you can make an impact on anybody else. You first have to be an impact for yourself. So we could probably talk forever. I want you to do a formal, like, tell us about the interview series, and then we're going to post it, because Mike McCallowitz is my dream. So I will be following along.
So the interview series was really born out of that. People that want to be more impactful, but not take away from time with their family. There's absolutely a way to do that, or whatever's important to you. And so it's called The Influential Leader, and you can actually sign up at theinfluentialleaderlive.com.
Okay.
So we'll have that. I'll take that. Yep. So theinfluentialleaderlive.com. I pulled together 22, it's actually 23 now, but I keep saying 22. It's 23 awesome experts, right? These are Tommy Spalding and Mike McCallowitz and Philip McKernan and Sherry Clark, and I can go on and on. You can actually see the list of all of them on the page. And we asked, I interviewed them, video interviews, and I said, these questions: how do you figure out your purpose? How do you figure out how do you make the time? Like, these are time experts. And I just asked them questions like, how did you figure out what is it you wanted to do? How they're making these huge impacts in the world, and they just talked about it. It's amazing.
Well, and just to like be able to listen to their brains, and I was listening to Brene Brown's Dare to Lead. And she said one of the first things she says in that book is that when I get on stage, I realize that people are giving me their most precious asset, which is their time. And these people were giving you your time. And then we get to sit there and absorb with our precious time what they've, decades have built into their brains. So I just think it's incredible that you're bringing that resource to us.
And I asked Brene Brown, but she couldn't do it. Actually,
time.
When that's the interesting thing, right? Exactly. Maybe next year. But Ariana Huffington, I asked Ariana, and so she actually said, she couldn't make it for the interview series, but posted on Thrive Global. So we did that yesterday. The amount of incredible things that have happened simply by asking. I didn't know a lot of these people beforehand. I simply asked them if I could have their time. Could I interview them? Could I do a virtual coffee conversation? And that's how it happened.
And having the confidence to ask that question.
Yeah.
Now, you also had the credentials. So there's both there.
Yep.
But I think it's also the confidence to say, I know I'm providing something of value for these people, and how do we make this mutually beneficial, and how do I bring this to my greater community?
Yeah, that's amazing. So check it out. I'm so excited.
Yay, thank you. We could probably be here for another hour, but thank you for your time today, guys, and we will be back next week. Bye.